Hi guys, I am so excited to investigate what it means to be a great leader. We are on our way to DC and I am so excited to see what today has in store for us. First impression of the Lincoln Memorial. Oh my goodness, it looks absolutely majestic. It reminds me of Greek architecture. As we're walking towards the MLK Memorial along the reflection pool, I'm here to reflect on what I've learned through my last visit of the Lincoln Memorial. One new thing that I've noticed are the beautiful murals on the wall. Both the murals are 60 feet long and 12 feet high. They're allegorical murals that represents the presidency principles, which is emancipation and unity. With the Lincoln Memorial behind me, on the outside, we have also noticed different state names that are carved on the building exterior. On the very top column are the states that... Hi!
Hello guys. Yeah, have fun.
Okay, great. So on the top column are the states that were a part of the Union during the time when the memorial was built in 1922. And on the bottom column are the states that existed at the end of the Civil War. And the new states that were established after 1922, Alaska and Hawaii, are carved on separate pieces of stone at the bottom of the memorial.
I need a blooper section at the end.
The Greco-Roman architecture reminds us of the importance of our founding principles, democracy. Behind me is the MLK Memorial where we just were, and right next to me is the FDR Memorial. At the MLK Memorial, we see that MLK is looking into the future, into the bright future where his change will be implemented. He's walking out on the stone of hope, emerging from the mountain of despair. And in his hands were scrolls of his speech, I assume, which represent that his words are the words of gold. We are at the FDR Memorial. To much of my surprise, I did not actually find many of the sculptures of President FDR on his wheelchair, and I wondered why. So, from the displays on that side of the memorial, I have learned that the reason why he didn't want to use a wheelchair was because he didn't want to seem weak to the people who saw him in office. He wanted to appear to be very strong. He wanted to appear very strong, and he even designed his own wheelchair with a kitchen chair to do that. It was not until later on when the National Organization of Disability added a sculpture of him in his wheelchair to this memorial. Furthermore, one other thing that I noticed was that, unlike some of the other memorials, at this memorial, it seems a lot more accessible to people. For example, on all of the writings that are displayed on the information centers, there is braille, there is the audio playing. It feels as if this is also another sign that we need to include all people of America. All right. Now, to answer the question, what makes a great leader? I would like to say a great leader speaks into people's souls by giving value to people's lives. So first, one pretty memorable event that I was able to witness was actually at the FDR Memorial. When we were about to leave for the buses, I saw a family with a little girl, like a very little girl, I would say about maybe 10 or 11, in a wheelchair next to FDR's sculpture of him also in a wheelchair. The little girl rolled her wheelchair right up next to FDR, and the little girl actually leaned her head against the cold sculpture, which was very surprising to me because she obviously has not met him in person or anything, but the fact that she was able to feel connected to FDR through a connection, through such a special connection, means that FDR was a great leader. In a way, FDR gave value to the little girl's life by showing her that even being in a wheelchair, you can achieve great things in life. Even though the Lincoln Memorial was different in the overall feeling around the memorial because of the tall buildings and the big statues, Lincoln still spoke into people's souls by giving value to people's lives. For example, the main quote that is behind Lincoln's statue emphasizes on the importance of unity. We feel a greater sense of responsibility when we are with our country, which is the Union. It was almost as if the memorial didn't focus as much on slavery, rather it focused on the unification of the North and South after the Civil War. One very interesting detail that I noticed at the Lincoln Memorial was that on his big chair, there was the bundle of sticks that are right under his hands. That is one detail that I also noticed at the National Portrait Gallery. If you remember in the previous sections of the video, I have a zoomed in picture on exactly that. One of his main values is that he wanted to bring people together because he knows that together we can be stronger than anything. The bundle of sticks shows that one stick can break easily, but a bunch of sticks together, that is very, very hard to break. Tying that back to giving people a sense of responsibility for being a part of a greater country, he spoke into people's souls, the people who wanted the people who were slaves before the Civil War, the people who wanted to abolish slavery, and the people who were fighting the Civil War to preserve the Union. He spoke into people's souls because they were living a greater purpose in life. The people felt included, just like the little girl at the FDR Memorial. One other portrait that I visited was President Polk. I believe he was a great leader because he spoke into people's souls by pushing for the westward expansion. He knew what the country wanted, he knew what the people wanted, and that is to expand further west to gain more land and economic opportunities for greater wealth. Even though he only served one term in office, at the end of his term, he was able to gain more than 1 million acres of land for America. In the sense that other leaders gave knowledge, gave ideas of values to people's lives. President Polk gave physical value to people's lives by expanding the country. One complication is that, are all leaders who speak into people's souls by giving value to people's lives great leaders? And the answer to that is, it really depends on the time. Because what might be a great movement during the time might actually not be a great idea in the future. And an example of that would be some of the not so great economic decisions that President Franklin D. Roosevelt has made during his New Deal program. Specifically, many of these programs ultimately put the government in a lot of debt.